Hello and welcome. Make sure you have 2 blocks, 1 strap, and a blanket for your practice. Once you have your props, take a block and come to sit in Virasana, Hero's Pose. So block comes between the ankles, knees together, and place the palms face down at the tops of the thighs. Let the elbows be open, the collarbones broad, and close your eyes. Take a moment to arrive to your practice. Notice any sounds around you, any smells, maybe taste. Feel the toes and the tops of the feet pressing into your mat. And feel the shins and the sitting bones. Notice the length of the spine and the crown of the head reaching toward the ceiling. Observe your breath. With every inhale, you become a little more grounded. And with every exhale, you get a little bit taller and lighter. Good. And after the next exhale, go ahead and open your eyes. Welcome to Throughline Yoga with Cassie. I'm Cassie. And this month I've been teaching backbends in my classes, and today's class focuses on building up toward the peak pose of bow pose or Dhanurasana. So bow pose can be challenging, it can be fun. A lot of backbends can be challenging. They're also very energizing, but sometimes we tend to want to get right into them, so much so that we can hurt our spine. The low back can get cranky, and we can lose some of the alignment that's necessary to contain the pose. And so when I've been teaching backbends, I'm also focusing on one of the first actually the first yama or restraint in yoga, which is ahimsa or nonviolence. So pairing backbends, which are really strong and energizing and fun and open, and with this idea of nonviolence and not just the obvious forms of violence that we're talking about, but the subtle internal kind as well, which can be self-judgment, or pushing ourselves beyond our capacity. Sometimes it's procrastination, or it's just kind of those little things that sometimes we don't even notice. So keep that in mind with your practice. Focus on finding an easy breath. Focus on how the pose feels rather than how it looks, okay? So again, you will need props for this practice as we build our way up toward bow pose. So to start, go ahead and open up your blanket so that it's pretty wide. It's folded in half here, and then have the folded edge closest to you and lay it out in front of you. Make sure it's smooth and even. And then roll it up into a nice tight, let's say burrito. And you can be precise about it. Good. Just like this. And then set it right next to your mat. And then come to lie on your back. Good. Have your knees bent, feet on the mat, hips width distance. On your inhale, press the hips up. Feel like the heels are grounding into the mat. The knees are reaching forward. The hips lift. The shoulders press into your mat. The chest lifts toward the chin. And then clasp the hands underneath the back and walk the shoulder blades underneath the body. Press the arms into the mat. Lift the hips a little bit higher. And notice the muscles in the legs and the buttocks coming online here. Keep pressing the shoulders into the mat. And then on an inhale, lower slightly, release the clasp, and then take the opposite thumb on top. Press the hips back up. Good. Knees are parallel. Good. Release the clasp and slowly lower down. Roll onto your side, press up, and take your blanket burrito behind you. Have your feet right near the short edge of your mat, and then take the blanket high up, as high as you can underneath the shoulder blades, and then you're going to come right back down to the ground. And then when you lie down, the blanket roll should be right underneath the shoulder blades, no further beyond the bottom tip or so. Good. Take the legs together, flex the feet, reach more through the inner heels, and then reach the arms up overhead. Get really long here. Feel the chest puff up, feel the legs press down. Get nice and long. And on an exhale, release. Step both feet to the mat. You're going to roll to your right side. Take the arm underneath the ear. You can bend the arm and cradle the head here. Have the legs straight. The feet are flexed. That's going to help with balance here. And the blanket roll should be right underneath the armpit chest. Good. You can have the left fingertips out in front of you. And then take the top leg, find tree pose, vrikshasana here on your side. So sole of the top foot is on the inner bottom thigh. Opening up the hips. Good, and then take the knee out in front of you. Take the top thigh parallel with the bottom thigh. And then squeeze the calf and the thigh together. So it's like you're trying to kick yourself in the butt. Good, then reach around with the top hand and grab onto the foot behind you. If balance is a challenge, make sure that bottom leg is strong. The bottom foot is flexed. You can lean forward slightly. That can also help with balance and give a little bit of a massage in the armpit chest. Kick the foot into the hand. Internally rotate that top leg slightly so the knee points down. And then bring it parallel. Good. And then come back to tree pose. Reach inside the leg for the big toe. Maybe you grab on, maybe you reach behind the knee and straighten the top leg any amount toward the ceiling. Good. And don't let that arm come out of the shoulder socket. Have a bend in the leg here if you need it. Good. And release the foot. Roll onto your back. And let's do the other side. Good. So for me, now I'm on my left side here. cradling the head and the arm. Blanket roll is underneath the armpit chest. Legs are straight, feet are flexed. And then take Vrikshasana, tree pose, for a moment. Really squeeze the calf and the thigh together here. And then kick the foot behind you. You can tent the top fingertips in front of you to start. And really squeeze the leg, kick the butt here. Get long in the waist as you do so. And then reach around with the top hand for the foot or the ankle. Maybe you lean forward slightly. You can rock a little bit back and forth. Internally rotate that top leg and bring it slightly more parallel. Good. Back to tree for a moment so you can grab onto the big toe or behind the knee. Straighten the leg any amount toward the ceiling. And breathe. Right? Knowing our limitations, not pushing ourselves beyond the comfort zone to the point of pain is part of the practice. Good. Bend the top leg. Roll onto your back. Again, blanket roll underneath the shoulder blades. Reach the arms, reach the heels, get nice and long, puff up the chest. And on an exhale, release. Step the feet to the mat. Roll over onto one side and press your way up to a seat. Good. Set your blanket roll aside. We will use it again. Take your block and come back into hero pose, Dhanurasana, like we did at the beginning of class here. Good. Then lean to your left. Take your right foot into a squat. Good. So step the foot as close as you can to the butt here. And you might right away feel this left thigh getting a nice release here. That might be where you stay. Maybe you take the fingertips back behind you or onto blocks. We're looking for broad collarbones here and a buoyant chest. So lifting the chest up again. Find the level that works for you. Maybe you come onto the palms, but keep lifting the chest toward the ceiling. Gaze is soft over the tip of the nose. Again, this might be plenty. If you're not quite getting that release in the thigh, then maybe you come to your forearms. This might be a lot. We are still in the beginning of class here, so find what works for you. Keep lifting the chest. Don't collapse in the chest here. Soft gaze, soft neck. Good. And then gently press your way up. Come back to hero pose. And let's go straight into the other side. Stepping the left foot to your mat. Good. And if this feels like a lot, you can stack 2 blocks here. Good. Find your variation. Maybe you come to the fingertips. Maybe you come to the palms. Maybe you come to forearms on blocks. Maybe the forearms come to the ground. Wherever you are, breathe, soften, lift the chest. And if that bottom knee comes off the mat, that's okay. You can let it. And very carefully, very slowly, make your way up. Good. For some of us, that might have been the hardest part of class. So we got that out of the way early. Good. Now, let's take the blanket roll again. Place it near the center of your mat, across the mat. And then we're going to take Sphinx pose. And I want the blanket to be at the very, very tops of the thighs. So you might need to adjust once you get there. But again, right at the tops of the thighs, forearms are parallel here. Good, so the knees and the toes should be on the mat, but the hip points and the belly are lifted. If this is a lot in the low back, then you might walk the elbows slightly forward so they're just ahead of your shoulders. Okay, spread the fingers wide. Feel like you're pulling the chest through the arms. Lift the chin so it's parallel with the ground. Gaze softly over the tip of the nose. Pick up the right leg, slightly internally rotate it and set it down. Pick up the left leg, slightly internally rotate it, meaning toes point inward, and set it down. Good. Press the toes into the mat. Notice how the navel pulls in toward the spine. So draw it in and up. And breathe. Good. Maybe you press the toes into the mat so much that the knees come off the mat, kind of like upward facing dog. Beautiful. And lower down, take the palms by the chest and press up to all fours. You can set your blanket aside again. Good. Then take your two blocks out in front of you at their highest height. Take your knees wide, toes together, and then take your triceps to the blocks. So coming onto your elbows, you might need to adjust the placement of your blocks. Clasp the hands and let the head fall between the blocks. And then press the toes and into the mat, press the triceps into your blocks. So we're not just pinching the shoulder blades together here, but we are active in the shoulders here, but the head is heavy. I love how this feels in my shoulders. Whichever thumb is on top, take the opposite thumb on top. Maybe the thumbs come between the shoulder blades. Good. On an inhale, press up. Come to all fours, tabletop position. Let's do a few little cat-cows. So on the inhale, feel the pubic bone drop down toward the ground first. So we're not moving from the neck. We're moving from the pelvis, and the belly drops, and the chest and the gaze lift slightly, not a lot. And when you exhale, the tailbone gets heavy, and the spine begins to round, and then the neck and the head fall. One more like that, inhaling into the back bend, head comes up last. Exhale to cat, head comes last. Good. This time, come to your cow shape. And then back to tabletop, neutral spine. Reach the right toes back behind you. You can rock a little bit back and forth on the heel gently. And then pick up the leg so it's parallel with the ground. Flex and point the foot here. And then flex the foot. Toes pointing down. Good. And then bend the knee. Have the thigh so it's parallel with the ground. Look forward, and maybe you lift the thigh another ½ inch. Good. Lower. Take the left leg back, tuck the toes, rock a little bit back and forth. And then pick up the leg, flex and point, and then come to a flexed foot. Feel the hamstrings and the glutes working here, And then bend the leg. Keep the foot flexed. Knee is still facing down. Maybe you lift the thigh another 1/2 inch. Beautiful. Set the knee down. Take your blocks at their lowest height at the top of the mat and come through to a bent knee, downward facing dog. So nice bent knees, bend them a lot, deepen the armpits. So see if you can externally rotate the arms here so that the shoulder blades get broad on the back body. The armpits get a little deeper. Bend the knees a little bit more. Push the blocks down and forward and reach the hip points toward the ceiling. That should lengthen the waist and feel really nice in the low back here. Good. On an inhale, pick up the right leg, three-legged dog. Then bend the knee, squeeze the calf and the thigh together. Open up to the right, look underneath the right arm, keep squeezing the leg, and then point the knee back down to your mat. Look forward between the blocks and take as many steps as you need to step the foot to the top of the mat. Good. Lower the left knee down, untuck the toes. Beautiful. So we're going to use our blocks here. We're going to take one to the top of this left thigh, kind of like a kickstand. If you can see that, I've got it at an angle here. So the short edge is pressing my thigh back toward the thigh bone. And that's gonna help me keep the integrity of the thigh here. And if your mat is a little slippery, it might be tricky, but see if you can play with it. And then you're gonna take the other block between the palms at its widest width. Inhale, reach the arms up. Anchor through the tailbone as you lift the chest up out of the belly and the low back. Look up toward the block. Get tall and then bend the elbows. Take the block behind your head. Draw the elbows in toward one another. Keep lifting the chest. And breathe. Beautiful. Inhale the arms up. Set both blocks at the top of your mat. Pull back through to your bent knee, downward facing dog. You can pedal it out here. And then bend the knees a lot. Pull the waist long. Let the head be heavy, shake the head no. And on your next inhale, left leg comes up. Bend the knee, squeeze, and then open up to your left and point the knee back down, keeping the leg bent. Good, look forward, step the foot between the blocks, lower the right knee down. And then take your block to the top of your right thigh. Really wedge it in there. Good. Other block comes between the palms. Anchor through the tailbone. Inhale the arms up. Reach up. Look up. Draw the low ribs in. And then bend the elbows. Block comes behind the head. Pull the block into the back of the head. Draw the elbows in. Nice. Lift the arms up. Set both blocks down. Find downward facing dog. Bend the knees a lot. Good. Bend the knees even more. Look forward and take little steps to the top of your mat. Find a halfway lift. And exhale to fold. You can use your blocks. Make it easy. Maybe the knees are bent here. And then clasp the hands behind the back. Shrug the shoulders as you reach the hands away from the body. Shake the head no. Inhale, Release the clasp, look forward. Exhale, fold, take the opposite thumb on top as you clasp the hands. Beautiful. Release the clasp, and on an inhale, rise all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana. Palms together. Press the heels down. Press the thighs back. Reach the fingertips away from the tailbone. Gaze up between the palms. Good. Clasp the hands behind the head. Draw the elbows in. Lift the chest. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, keep the chest where it is as you slowly lower the arms back down by your side. Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. Hang out here for a moment. And then come to all fours. Actually, come to your knees. You can set your blocks aside and grab your blanket roll. Good. We'll take Sphinx again with the blanket roll at the tops of the thighs. Forearms are parallel. Fingers wide. Internally rotate the legs. Press the toes into the mat. Good. Draw the navel toward the spine and slightly up. Reach the chest through the arms. And maybe bend the legs here. And maybe you lift the chest and the head a little bit more. Feel like the crown of the head is reaching toward the soles of the feet. And set the legs down. Bend the right leg. Lift the chest slightly. Maybe lift the right thigh another ½ inch. And set it down. Bend the left leg. Lift the chest. Lift the thigh. And set it down. Good. Lower down. Take the hands by the chest. Press yourself up. You can move your blanket. You might want it handy for this next pose. We're coming into pigeon, Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. So start first in downward facing dog. On an inhale, right leg comes up. Bend the knee. This time don't open the hip, but look forward between the hands and see if you can lift the thigh another ½ inch or an inch. And then pull the knee up into the chest, set it down behind the right wrist. Walk that left leg nice and long here. Now it might be nice to use the blanket roll underneath this hip if it's really lifted off your mat. You're gonna stand in the back bend shape here, so don't melt down into the pose. Come onto the fingertips. Broaden the collarbones, reach the chest forward. Lift the crown of the head. Maybe you take your hands to blocks on their lowest height beside you. Find a nice even curve in the spine, pressing all 10 toes into your mat. Lift the head. Option to, again, bend that back leg. Point the toes toward the head. Feel the left glutes working here. And set the leg down if it's bent. Press back to downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up. Bend the knee. Keep pointing the knee down. Look forward between the hands. Lift the thigh. And then bring the knee forward behind your left wrist. Lengthen the right leg. Come onto your fingertips. Feel like the legs are gathering in toward one another to help you keep lifted. Proud chest. Even back bend. Soft gaze. Soft throat. Maybe your hands find blocks. Crown of the head lifts up and back. Option to bend that back leg. Beautiful. Notice if you're holding your breath. Back off if you need to. Lower the right leg, set it down. Come into downward facing dog. Good, then walk the feet forward toward the hands. Take the hands to the hips, press down on the hips, hinge at the waist to come all the way up. Good. Inhale the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Palms together, look up, press the thighs back. And then whichever thumb was on top last time, take the opposite behind the head as you clasp the hands, lift the chest, draw the elbows in, and release. Take Anjali Mudra and find chair pose, Utkatasana. Press the thumbs into the chest and the chest into the thumbs. Get a little bouncy here. Good, and then take the hands to the thighs, straight arms, and just for a moment, let's relax. Have the arms straight, really pressing into the thighs. Let the head dangle. Let the shoulders shrug. Get a little bit of traction in the low back here. Beautiful. And come on up. Stand in Tadasana. So we're going to take dancer's pose, Dhanurasana next. We're not going to go all out. This is just more preparation for bow pose. So first, take your hands to your hips and bend your right leg. Just bend your right leg so you're standing on your left leg. Good. And then take that right thigh so it's parallel with the left leg. Good. Press the hips down to lift the chest here. Then see if you can bring the thigh behind you. Squeeze the calf and the thigh together as you lift. Maybe you tilt slightly forward, maybe just a little bit. Good, and set it down. Let's do the other side. This time, pick up the left leg, bend the knee, strong right leg, bring that left thigh parallel with the right. Good, push the hips down, puff up the chest, and then take the thigh behind you, lift the thigh, and set it down. Nice. So notice how we had the hamstrings working there, we had the glutes working there. We didn't use our arm at all. Now we're going to use the arms and the shoulders here. So back to the first side. Pick up the right leg, bend it, draw the thigh parallel, and then reach around with the right hand, grab anywhere onto the foot or the ankle. Beautiful. Look forward, lift the chest as you kick the foot into the hand. Lift the thigh, don't let the knee splay out. Make sure you point it back down toward your mat. Kick it a little higher, barely using the arm here, but you are getting some nice extension in the shoulder. Good. Tilting forward slightly, maybe. Beautiful. And come back down. Shake it out. Let's do the other side. Hands to the hips to start. Bending the left leg. Draw the thigh parallel. And then reach around with the left hand, grab onto the foot or the ankle. Lift the thigh, kick the foot. Gaze forward. Breathe. Lift the thigh a little more. Beautiful. And set it down. Lovely. Okay. Let's come back onto all fours. Find tabletop here for a moment. You can wiggle the hips a little bit side to side. Maybe make circles. Good, and then take the hands, a handprint forward, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Find bent knees here. On your inhale, lift the right leg. Look forward between the hands, step the foot forward, lower the left knee. Maybe the left hand comes onto a block. As you bend the left leg, reach around with the right hand, grab onto the foot, low lunge twist. Find a back bend here, so lean back slightly. Roll forward on that back leg so you're not right on top of the kneecap. Lift the chest, lift the gaze. And if you can't reach this back foot, that's okay. Reach toward it. And shake the head left to right. And release the foot. Step back to down dog. Other side, inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, look forward, step the left foot between the hands, lower the right knee. Good, take a block under the right hand if you need it. Reach around with the left hand for the right foot. You can turn the left toes out slightly here. Good, open up the collarbones, lift the chest and the gaze toward the ceiling. Shake the head left to right. And gently release. Step back to plank. Reach through the heels, reach the chest and the gaze forward. And then slowly, keeping the elbows in, lower all the way down to your belly. Nice. Keep your hands where they are by your chest. Have the toes together, slightly internally rotate the legs. Good. On an inhale, find baby cobra. Lift the chest forward and up any amount. And exhale to lower. Do that again, barely using the hands. Feel the postural muscles working here in the back body. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower. Good, do that again, pressing the toes into the mat. Lift up any amount. Maybe you pick up the hands. Notice what's working here in the legs, the butt, the back, and exhale to lower. Now keep that sensation. We're doing all that work without the hands. Inhale, this time to cobra, regular cobra. Arms come towards straight. They don't have to be straight. Legs stay on the mat. And exhale to lower. Maybe you come all the way up to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog, where the legs come off the mat on your inhale. Squeeze the lower butt, lift the chest, lift the gaze, and then lower all the way back down. Stack the palms. Rest your forehead on your palms for a moment. And breathe. Good. Now one more like this on our bellies. So take your hands by your chest and then reach around behind the back and clasp the hands. Good. Press the legs together, toes down. On an inhale, we're coming into locust pose. Inhale, lift the legs, lift the chest, reach the arms back, gaze a little bit ahead of your mat. Maybe you lift a little higher. Nice. And exhale, lower all the way down. Good. You can stack the opposite palm on top for a moment. And then press up to all fours. Take a seat for a moment in Vajrasana, sitting on your heels, or in Virasana. Good. I'm going to demo bow pose with and without the blanket. We're going to do it both ways together so you can experience both if you want, or you can watch, or you can do it with the blanket both times. Or if you are done, you can find constructive rest and call it a day. And that is beautiful. Okay, so we've been using this blanket roll underneath the tops of the thighs. We're going to do that again for this first variation of Dhanurasana, bow pose. So coming onto your belly, make sure the blanket is appropriately placed at the very tops of the thighs. Good, so locust pose was kind of similar to where we're going with the shoulders in extension here. But we're going to bend the legs, and you can just watch. I'll cue you through it. Grabbing onto the feet, inhaling to lift up, drawing the knees in, lifting the chest, and lowering down. That's the first variation, and the blanket roll just helps us lift the thighs. It means we're a little bit more on our bellies in this pose, but it's really helpful in getting that lift we're looking for. The second time, this is also optional, without the blanket, same thing, but you're going to not be relying on the blanket to get the lift of the thighs. And again, you can lift any amount here. So on an inhale, you kick the feet into the hands, you lift the thighs, you reach the chest forward and up. Maybe you lift a little more, you might rock a little bit. Don't let the knees or the feet splay out. And lower down. Okay, so maybe you went ahead and did it with me, in which case, great, you can do it again if you like, or you can find constructive rest. Otherwise, I'll talk you through both options now. So option number one, and let's all do it together if you want to do bow twice. So blanket comes to the tops of the thighs, lower down onto your chest, bend legs, grab onto the feet, draw the knees in, and then inhale. Kick the feet into the hands, lift the thighs, reach the chest forward, soften the gaze, soften the throat, breathe, and release on an exhale. Nice. Press up. You can do that again with the blanket if you like that. Or you can come to a break here. If you're taking the standard Dhanurasana shape, again, coming onto your belly, reaching behind for the feet. If the knees are splaying out, draw them in. And then inhale, kick up strong, lift up. See if you can get long in the spine here. Soften, lift a little higher. And exhale, lower down. Stack the palms. Toes together, heels apart. Prone Shavasana. Let that go. Notice if there was any tendency toward subtle forms or not so subtle forms of violence in your practice. Place the opposite palm on top. And if so, there's no need to judge that. It's good to just simply be aware. Good. Take the hands by the chest. Press up to all fours. Cross at the shins. And find a seat. Good. Have your strap and your blocks within reach, and then come to lie on your back. Good. Find constructive rest here. So feet are as wide as your mat, toes turned in slightly. Let the knees rest on one another, and take the palms to the low belly. If it's comfortable, you can close your eyes. Sometimes we're hard on ourselves, and then we're hard on ourselves for being hard on ourselves, which is weirdly not at all helpful. What is the opposite of violence? Maybe peace, gentleness, love. Take the feet so they're parallel. Grab your block and then pick up the hips. Place the block underneath your sacrum where the low back meets the pelvis for supported bridge. Bend the arms, have the palms facing one another. The fingertips are pointing toward the ceiling. Press the triceps into your mat so you puff up the chest slightly, just a little bit. And feel the support of the block on your sacrum. It can be asking a lot to tell ourselves to practice ahimsa or nonviolence when we're already in a moment of activation of some kind. It's like we're setting ourselves up to fail. So sometimes you have to go a little bit more upstream for the next time. So you can ask, what can I do to set myself up for success at nonviolence? Pick up the hips, remove the block. Grab onto the kneecaps, have the arms straight, and the feet are just dangling here. You might slightly bend one leg and then the other to massage the sacrum. Set the feet down. I almost forgot one of my favorites here. Grab your strap. Take it around the ball of the right foot. Wrap your hands in the strap and then lengthen the left leg on your mat. Flex through both feet. Press more through the inner heels. And you can have a bend in this top leg. We're not really focusing so much on the hamstring stretch, but just sort of recentering the thigh bone in the hip socket. Have the elbows bent wide so the chest stays broad. Make it pretty effortless. So what might going upstream look like? If you, for example, are frequently running late to yoga class, you're rushing to get there, you're giving yourself a hard time because it's like, wow, this is ironic. I'm really stressed out about getting to yoga class. Maybe the thing to do would be to set an alarm, a recurring alarm, so you don't have to remember to peel yourself away from your desk or whatever you're doing. Take the left foot up in the strap, lengthen the right leg, and set it down on the mat. Those little things really add up. And not just in our lives, but out in the world, right? Because when you're rushing to yoga class, you're speeding and you're getting frustrated with the slow drivers. and remove the strap. Take your blocks in either hand, have the soles of the feet together, draw the heels toward your hips, and then place the blocks underneath the thighs. I have mine at an angle so they're flat on the legs for Supta Baddha Konasana, support of the props. Maybe you take opposite elbows and rest the forearms on your forehead. Maybe you rest the arms behind the head, but only go there if you could really hang out here for a long time. Otherwise, keep them on the forehead. Sometimes that pressure can feel really nice and keep us from frowning. Tensing in the forehead. Take the opposite forearm on top. And then take the palms to the low belly. This can be a really nice option for your Shavasana. So if you're comfortable here, feel free to stay. If you want to take a traditional Shavasana, you can use the hands to close the legs together and scoot yourself however you need to so that when you straighten the legs out on your mat, everything is touching the mat, not the hardwood floor. Good. Maybe you take the blocks or your blanket roll underneath the knees for a little extra support. Otherwise, let the feet fall open. Take the arms by your side, palms facing up. Aim for symmetry. And then find stillness. Shavasana. Notice where your attention is. If it wandered off, bring it back to your body and your breath. Bring some little movements into the fingers and the toes. You can place the hands on the low belly. Step one foot and then the other to the mat. You can hug the knees into the chest. Rock a little bit back and forth. Then roll over onto your right side. Use your arm as a pillow. Hang out here for a moment. And then very gently, using your arms, press your way up to a seat. Let your head roll up last. Sit up on a block. Maybe something from today's practice resonated or taught you something about yourself. Maybe you can take that with you off the mat into the rest of your day. Take the palms together at heart center. Dedicate your practice. Bowing forward in gratitude. Namaste. Beautiful work. See you next time.